Beauties, welcome back to another Caramel Curls 15 video, and today we are going to be filming a big massive eyeshadow palette declutter. Today I'm going to start with just my smaller eyeshadow palettes, and then we're going to move over to part 1. All the eyeshadow palettes that I am not going to be keeping will be for sale. I will leave the pricing and the actual name of the palette down in the description box, and I will be selling them through Cash App. So if you would like to purchase any of the palettes, I'm just going to ask that you shoot me a message. My email address will be down below. Only serious offers. There will be no bartering. The price that I list will be the price that I will accept down in the description box. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this eyeshadow palette declutter. Like, I don't know if you probably guys heard all that falling. Those were some eyeshadow palettes. And I have even more. These are some of the ones that fell. But this is just some. Let me see if I can zoom you guys out. As far as my camera will zoom out right now. But this is the first bin of eyeshadow palettes that we will be decluttering. This is a big acrylic bin that I got from Five Below a little over a year ago. So we're going to go through this entire bin. So first up, this is the first pile that we're going to get through for the declutter. Sorry about my nails. I will do them sometime today, but we're trying to work around mom and wife and work mom life. Okay, so first up we have the Tarte in Bloom, and I'm just going to move these other ones off of this tray so that we can get through this. And I love this palette. I love the packaging. I love how sleek the packaging is. I love just the crisp feel of it. And as you can see, it was well loved at some point because we hit pan on that color there. I'm going to keep this palette. I am a collector of a lot of the Tarte palettes. I'm going to keep this palette because it's very pigmented. It was easy to blend, especially as someone when I purchased it that was new to makeup, especially eyeshadow. So I will not be getting rid of this palette. We will be keeping this in our collection. And plus it's an easy travel palette, and you can definitely take it for travel and have one eyeshadow look and glam it up a lot. So we will be keeping that one. So that's that palette. Next we have another Tartelette palette, and this is the Tartelette. Actually, that's the actual name, Tartelette palette. That one was Tartelette in Bloom. This one is the Tartelette palette. Love the packaging again, how sleek it is. It's easy to wipe off and keep clean. And I think, no, this was one of my first high-end palettes because I think I just did that. Yeah, I just did that. Next we have the Dominique Cosmetics Celestial Thunder palette. I believe I got this in a Boxycharm. I've never used it. And I will also be keeping this palette. I heard it's a very good palette. Very pigmented. You can create some bold looks there. As well as like a neutral look. Just be a little subtle with some of the colors. And you can glam up the lid with the color Eternal Light. So I will be keeping this palette. Next we have the BH Cosmetics. It's my Ray Ray palette. I've never used this palette. I did purchase it when the collection first came out. It has eyeshadows, blushes, or I think it's eyeshadow, contour, and highlight. Don't see any good colors for blushes. So that's the contour highlight. Here are the eyeshadows. I've never used it. I was thinking about getting rid of this, but I do want to use it first to see how it was. So I'm going to try it, and then we'll decide if we're going to get rid of it or not, because I heard good things about it, but I have not used it since I purchased it. Not sure why not. Just think I maybe forgot about it, put it away once I bought it, and there you go. So we'll put this, let's say we'll put this in the maybe side. Next we have the Urban Decay, which is this one is Beauty with an Edge eyeshadow palette. I will be getting rid of this palette. I've had it for a minute and I've never used it. So we are definitely going to be getting rid of this palette. So this is going to be the Declutter, the first chopping block palette. Next we have the Tarte from the Tarte collection, Toasted. So Tarte Toasted palette. Here's the outside packaging. Love it. Again, that sleek Tarte packaging. Tarte is known for that packaging. Here are the shadows. Love the shadows. Love the pigmentation, the blendability. I will definitely be keeping this palette. Sorry, I'm trying to keep them separate, but I'm filming on the food tray. So at some point, I know I'm going to have to get rid of some off the top of this. Next, we have the Warrior by Juvia's. And this is by the company Juvia's Place palette. And this palette, again, is called the Warrior by Juvia's. Never used it. Purchased it when the collection first came out. Look how gorgeous those colors are. So we will be keeping this palette. Pause this video and comment down below how many palettes you think I'm going to declutter in this part 1. Next, we have a Stilla palette. And this, I like this palette because it was folded like a little envelope. And it did come with like a gloss and mascara and eyeshadows. I've never used this palette. I bought this on, I want to say on clearance or on sale when I first started wearing makeup. But I've never used it. But we are going to declutter this palette because the colors just don't speak to me like use it. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of it. Again, nothing in this palette has ever been used. So this will be for sale via Cash App. Next, we have another Urban Decay palette. It came in this pouch. And it's the Urban Decay Vice palette. So I've never used it. So I think what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to get rid of it. But I'm not going to, I'm going to get rid of it. But I'm not going to sell it with the pouch. I want to keep the pouch. But I am going to sell this palette. So this is going to be a declutter. And we have some more here, guys. We're getting through. So that's our declutter pile over there. Next we have the Meat Matrimony. Next we have the Meat Matrimony palette by The Balm. The package is a little inconvenient because if you don't keep, if you want to keep that sleeve, you got to keep pulling it off every time. But it's the same hardcover packaging as the sleeve. This is the palette. Love the colors. Never used it. That's a swatch that I just did before I started filming the video. So I am going to be keeping this palette. Then we have Meat Matte Nude by The Balm. Same kind of packaging. I bought these all on clearance from Hope Look. Love this color. I can travel with this palette and create a neutral look or, or a little bit more bolder look. So I'm going to keep this palette as well. We have the Morphe palette. We have the Artistry palette by Morphe. That's how this palette looks. I believe I got this in a Boxycharm. I bought a palette, literally the same week my BoxyLux got here. And then they sent me the exact same palette in my BoxyLux. So I think I gave one of those palettes to my daughter. So I'm going to keep this palette because I like that green there. And I've never used it, so we're going to keep that. I have the Gwen Stefani palette by Urban Decay. Haven't used this one in a long time, but when I first got it, I used it every day. Well, let me take that back. Maybe not every day. I may be thinking of a different palette, but I love the neutral row here. And you can bold it out with the black. You got deeper blue here with some little sparkles in there. So this is going to go in a maybe palette because I like it. I like the design of the palette, but I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it. So I want to put that in a maybe palette. Next up we have the Manny palette by Makeup Geek. I was so excited to order this palette when it first came out because I was just getting into makeup. And got it and never used it. So we're going to get rid of this palette. So we're going to declutter this palette. Next we have the New Necessities palette by LORAC. This was my jam, y'all. Like, I didn't drop that shade. I literally dug it out till it was like no more left. I literally used all that color. I did not drop it. I dug it out and was turned the little crumb. You know, you dig it out, it turns into like the little crumbs, and still use it as an eyeshadow palette. I'm going to keep this palette just because it's been well loved and well used, and I can use this to go to accent a look or to create transition shades. So I'm going to keep that. Next up we have the Naked Ultimate Basics by Urban Decay. I ended up getting this palette 50% off about a year or so ago when Sephora ran the 50% off $50, and I got it for that. So I use this palette again, just like I used that previous palette, the LORAC New Necessities, to create transition shades. And just if it's a palette that doesn't have any good transition shades, I reach for these two. So I'm keeping this palette. Next up, we have the Cargo Cosmetics, the Essentials palette. And I have never used this palette. You know, I take that back. Did I use it once? No, I've never used this palette. It was a brush and an eyeliner that was in here. I think I still have it somewhere. It's in my collection somewhere. I think I took those out because I had anticipated using it, but I didn't. So we're going to go ahead and declutter this palette. This will be on sale via Cash App. Next up, we have the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. This is a tiny travel palette. I got this in a Sephora Rewards. Haven't used it, but I sort of like these two colors, even though they're very similar. So I think I'm going to keep this palette just to travel with, or just to throw in my makeup bag for work when I don't want my eyes to be bare, but I don't want them to be heavy either. So we're going to keep this palette. Next up, we have the Butter London Natural Goddess palette. Got this in a Boxycharm. I have not used it. Not familiar with Butter London products, so I am going to keep this palette to try it out to see what the formulation is and how it blends and what's the long wear. So we're definitely going to keep this one. So we have the Dose of Colors Marvelous Malls palette. I'm going to keep this palette, and only because I got a duplicate in a Boxycharm box like 2 months ago. So I am going to declutter the other one that's brand new. That will be on sale via Cash App, but I'm going to keep the one that I've used, and I've only used this once. Next we have the Blink Palette Electric Eyes palette. I did receive in a Boxycharm box. It did come broken when I received it from Boxycharm. I've used it once or twice. I am going to keep it just to go with looks. Like, I compared this and those, like the New Basics and the Ultimate Basics by Urban Decay, and create a look with. So I am going to keep that. Next we have LORAC palette, and I forgot what this one is called. This was like from a Easter collection that they did a few years ago. But this is the LORAC palette. And these are the colors. Haven't decided, am I going to keep this? I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one. So this one will be on sale via Cash App. I will have all the prices linked down below. So we're going to declutter that one. Next I have the ColourPop Press Shadows. And this is when the press shadows first came out. And you can make your own palette. And then when you ordered so many, or ordered at least 4, they provided you this holder to put the shadows in. So since I've never used these, I am going to keep these. I'm sort of getting away of the berry shades because I'm just getting a little bit worn out of seeing them all on YouTube. But I am going to keep that one since I've never used it. And then we have another ColourPop pressed eyeshadow palette quad that I've never used. But I probably will put that in my stash. Sorry, that plastic is on there, and I'm not sure if that's creating a glare. See if it lets me get that off. There we go. There we have the Urban Decay Urban Vices palette. And this I got when you redeem your points. And I have not used it, but I'm going to go ahead and get rid of it. Because it's not speaking to me anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of it. Then we have the Smashbox Cover Shot Ablaze Eye Palette. They had a whole collection of these. I ordered these from Haute Look. I have not used this particular one because one of mine came shattered and I contacted them and they did send me another. So, but I am going to keep this palette just to give it a try. We have a Natasha Denona palette 13. These are the 5 eyeshadow palettes. This one was still pretty expensive. I'm not going to declutter this. I did use it a few times and loved it, especially this shade here. So I am going to keep this one. It's a new one that I'm going to get that's have the 5 eyeshadows as well. Next up, we have the Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye Palette. And this one is in Rust. Sorry, I'm probably moving too fast. Not giving you guys a chance to look at it. And that's how that palette looks. I love that deep shade. And, a little torn on this one. A little torn. Go ahead and declutter it. Next, we have the IT Cosmetics Naturally Pretty Must-Haves palette. Sorry, the packaging is a little dirty on the outside. I did use it for a bit once or twice, but it's a good palette to travel with. But I'm not really into IT Cosmetics any longer. It's just I don't think she makes her makeup with women of color in mind. And she made some comments a few years ago that I'm just displeased about. So I am going to be decluttering this palette. Next, we have another Kat Von D Shade and Light palette. This one is in Sage. And that's how that one looks. I do like that green, and I can create a look with Too Faced Matte Eyes. And it's a matte eyeshadow palette. This is an older palette from Too Faced when they still used to use the cardboard packaging. I think they still have this on their website. I like this one, but I don't. I think I've used, no, I've never used this. I might have used it once. I'm going to go ahead and keep this palette because something with these colors are speaking to me. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this palette. Next, we have the Tarte Man-Eater palette. I did love this palette when I first got it. As you can tell, it was used a little bit. So I'm going to clean this one up. First, I was like, yeah, you're going to get rid of this one. But this one, I'm not so sure about. Guys, I'm not sure. This is going to maybe pile for now. Then I have another palette by Tarte, and it says Don't Quit Your Daydream Double Duty palette. Love the little ones with the little quotes from a few years ago. This one is very pretty. Reminds me of some ColourPop palettes. This is going to go in a maybe pile too. Maybe pile. We'll come back to that one. Have another Tarte palette. It says May the Starlight Be Your Spotlight. And then, oh, they do have names. I'm sorry, guys. This one is the Sultry Star Power. See, they do have names. I just got to read down a little bit. And this is how that palette looks. Never been used. So I love that blush, but I have most of their blushes. So I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one. And this palette was called Don't Quit Your Daydream. So same thing on that one. Here's another Tarte palette. She dreamed, she believed, and she succeeded. This is the Classic Courage palette. That's how that one looks. Now I wish the blush from the other one was in here. Like the palette. Never used it. I'll go ahead and declutter it. Next up, we have the Too Faced Peanut Butter and Honey palette. You guys remember this? This is a big release. I'll leave the link to the video that I have of this down below. I did a review on this one when it first came out. Didn't get a lot of views, but I was a very, very micro mini influencer, YouTuber, if you, however you want to say it back then. Now I have a lot more subscribers, so we'll definitely relink and maybe we can get some views. But I actually tested out the palette. Love the color selection. Have not reached for it in many, many moons. So I am going to go ahead and get rid of this palette. See, I'm dropping stuff, y'all. Okay, next up we have Too Faced Natural Matte palette, and this is with the tinfoil packaging. Very pretty and sleek. It's very easy to keep clean. Always looks elegant out. Love the colors in this. I'm going to keep this just because you can create rows from left to right and up and down. So I'm going to keep this palette because I really do like it. I actually like this one better than the honey one, so we're keeping this one. Then I have another Too Faced palette. It's the Sugar Pop eyeshadow palette. That's how that palette looks. It's not really speaking to me any longer. So I'm going to clean this one up and this one's going to go for sale via Cash App. Then we have another Too Faced palette. This one is the Totally Cute. It came with some stickers and things like that, which I've used in my planner. Love the packaging, the tinfoil packaging. I love this palette. I think I'm going to keep this because I love this row here. I'm sorry. Love this row here. And you can add just pops of color here. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this palette. Then we have another Too Faced palette, the Peanut Butter and Jelly palette. You guys remember that one? Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time. That's back in the day, y'all. Like this palette as well. Really like these colors. I'm going to go ahead and keep this palette because I'm loving like the deep browns and the different shades of brown. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this palette. I'm waiting until my battery goes out. This video is going to be a little long and we still have like 6 more eyeshadow palette drawers to get to. So there will definitely be a part 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever from this palette. Next we have the LORAC Pro Metals palette. Love the packaging. Never used it. I'm going to turn off this light so you guys can really see the colors. See, look at the colors. You can really see the colors with the lights off. Never used it, but I'm going to keep it because I like those colors in there. Next, we have a LORAC Pro Matte palette. These are the minis. I don't know if you guys remember when these came out. This is a good palette, sort of like those natural nudes, the LORAC natural nudes, the Naked Ultimate Basics. These are palettes that I try to keep in my collection, so if I'm just to leave in my everyday makeup drawer. So if I have a palette that I'm using and I need some other colors to blend out and I'm not liking the other ones, I can use these. So I'm going to keep this palette. Alright, we getting there. The first tray is about halfway done, guys. Next we have the Stilla palette. This is the Perfect Me Perfect Hue, the Tan and Deep palette. And this comes with a blush, 2 blushes, and some eyeshadows. At one point in time, I was collecting these. I love these blushes. I love this, like, coral color. Sorry, waiting on my autofocus to catch up. I'm going to keep this palette just for those 3 things. Yeah, I'm going to keep this palette just for those 3 things. So we're going to keep that one. I have another Stilla. And this one is the medium tan from the Perfect Me Perfect Hue collection of palettes. Again, love these 2 blushes. Love that shimmer shade. Let me turn off this light again so you guys can see. See that? I may just leave that light off. You guys can see it. See that? You can really see the true colors. Love these deep colors. So we're going to keep these 2. Or keep that one. Then I have another Tarte palette, and it says Throw Kindness Around Like Confetti. And this is the Young, Wild, and Free palette. Sorry, upside down. And look at that. I've never used this one. Never used it. I'm trying to decide. Never used it. Next up, we have the Huda Beauty Warm Brown Obsessions palette. That's how that looks. Heat palette. What is that? And that's how that palette looks. I am definitely keeping this. I didn't use it, but I am definitely keeping this. That may go on my Shop My Stash this week. So we are keeping that palette. And if you look, are they similar? Anyway, so we are keeping that palette. Actually, let's go ahead and stop. Continuing on with this declutter, unfortunately, I had to change my camera battery and I forgot to turn my microphone back on. So I'm just showing you guys this Tarte palette, Happy Girls Shine Brighter palette. I've never used it. I do love the packaging. It's a mirror design, comes with some cool and warm tones. And I am going to keep this palette and give it a try once and for all because it has been in my collection for some time. I'm just going to give you guys a quick overview of how the palette looks and its sleek design. Love that transition shade up there, that very light camel color, very pretty. And I'm going to put this palette back in my collection so that I can use it in my Shop My Stash video. Next, we have the Stilla palettes, and they had a collection a few years ago. It was like Mind, Body, and Soul and Wind. And this is one of the palettes there that has a combination of shimmers and mattes, and it's a cool, warm tone eyeshadow palette. Unfortunately, I have not used it. Next up is the Stilla Mind palette, which is an all matte palette of cool and warm tones, and I'm keeping both of these palettes. Next, we have the Rainforest of the Sea, Volume 3 by Tarte. I am decluttering this palette. I never got around to use it, but it just looks like there are shades that I just no longer are interested in, and I won't be reaching for it, especially since I haven't reached for it this far. So this palette will be up for sale, and as you can see, the plastic covering is still on it, and it's never been used, not even swatched. Next, we have the Line Crime palette. This is their quads. I know they have a lot of controversy. This is a very bright, vivid palette, but bright, vivid eyeshadow quad. Love the colors. I'm not going to declutter this. I'm going to keep this just because I did pay my hard-earned coin, and I do like the colors, and I want to give them a try just to see what kind of quality Line Crime palettes are. And I have another one that is also another quad. I love that yellow shade, so I'm also keeping that so that I can test it out to see what the quality is. They've been in my collection also for some time and I've never used them, but I'm going to put them in a Shop My Stash as well. Next up, we have a Tarte palette. This is a mini palette. Never used this one either. The colors are cool and shimmer. As you can see, the next Tarte palette I did use a little bit, but I am going to keep that palette as well because I do like it. Next up is another Tarte palette from Rainforest of the Sea, and then a Pure palette. Both of those palettes I am decluttering and they will be up for sale and the prices will be listed in the description box. Then I have an eyeshadow trio that I received from a Boxycharm box. Never used it. I am going to keep it so that I can see what the pigmentation is like because I do love the colors. Next, we have another Tarte palette that comes with the blush and eyeshadow. I believe I decluttered that palette. Next, we have another Tarte, Styles by Her Rouge. I believe I also declared this one. I'm sorry, guys, can't remember at this time. I did film this video almost 2 weeks ago, so it'll be in the final review at the end of this video. This Ciate palette I am decluttering. The price will be listed down below. Just the colors don't intrigue me any longer. This Dose of Colors Sassy Vacianas palette I am keeping. 15, and the mini LORAC palette. I believe I kept that as well. But look at those colors. This is not like an all-in-one palette. You do need this palette to go with something else. This next palette is part of Decay, and I did choose to keep this palette just because I haven't given it that much use, and I do love the colors. The LORAC 2 palette I am going to keep because of that black and shimmer shade. And also that light, like brick, not brick, but camel color, that color buff. I can't add those colors to any look to accentuate it. Smashbox palettes from the Cover Shot collection. I'm keeping both those palettes. I've never used them, but I want to give them a try to see what the pigmentation is like. And I'm just giving you guys an overview of what these palettes look like. Sorry about the raspiness in my voice. It's very late. I haven't had enough to drink to stay hydrated, so my voice is a lot more raspy. Okay, guys, so we have our final count ready to go. So we kept 39 palettes. We have 10 maybe palettes, which we will make a decision on by the end of the Declutter series. And then let's count up to see how many palettes that we're going to actually declutter and sell. So we have 2, 4, we have 19 palettes that we're going to sell. So 19 palettes that we're decluttering, 10 palettes that are maybe, and 39 palettes that we're keeping. So we're going to set this pile to the side. And by the end of this eyeshadow palette declutter series, we're going to make a final decision if we're going to keep them or if we are going to declutter them. So these are all the palettes that will be up for sale via Cash App. How the palettes, what conditions they are in. I will not be bartering any prices. So whatever I list them for is what you need to purchase them for. So again, thank you all for joining me in the Caramel Curls 15 Eyeshadow Palette Declutter Series Part 1. There will be many more to go because this is just one Alex drawer of eyeshadow palettes, and this was a small Alex drawer. So we have probably about 6 or 7 more drawers to get through. So we'll be doing 2 eyeshadow palette declutter videos a week until we're completely done. Sorry that the lighting faded on me toward the middle end of the video. My ring light went out right in the midst of filming this video, but I'm going to go on Amazon right now and order a replacement, and that should be up and running. I have Amazon Prime, so hopefully I can find a replacement bulb on Amazon Prime. But again, please like, comment, subscribe, and share, and turn on your notification bell so that you're alerted every time I upload a video. Thank you, beauties, for joining me, and I will see all you beauties in the next Caramel Curls 15 video. Bye.